A billionaire in a Manhattan restaurant laughs as he belittles a black waitress over a bottle of wine. He doesn't know the woman he's mocking once solved equations his executives can't even pronounce. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening and the world needs to hear them. The chandeliers glittered above the crowded Manhattan restaurant, their reflections dancing across polished marble floors. At table 9 sat Marcus Owen, a powerful white billionaire with a reputation for arrogance that stretched farther than his fortune. Surrounded by investors and models, he smirked as if the world itself bowed at his command. When the waitress approached with a smile, her voice calm and polite, his eyes narrowed. "Excuse me, miss," he said, swirling his wine glass like a scepter. "This Chateau Margaux is supposed to be served at 55 degrees, not 60. Can you even read a thermometer?" The laughter around the table was sharp, rehearsed, a chorus of approval for the man who believed humiliation was a sport. The waitress, Keisha Danielle Roberts, stood still. Mid-30s, graceful, dark-skinned, her brown eyes held patience carved from years of enduring men like him. "I'll replace it immediately, sir," she replied evenly. Marcus leaned back. "You know, it's funny. People like you are great at taking orders, but not much else." That sentence hit harder than the laughter. The phrase "people like you" sliced through the air with invisible venom. Keisha inhaled slowly. She'd faced this tone before, in job interviews, in classrooms, in every room where her intelligence was ignored because of her skin. Behind her professional smile lived a mind sharper than any man at that table. The same mind that once solved problems in graduate research. The same woman forced to leave academia to care for a younger sister after their mother's death. But Marcus didn't care who she was. To him, she was a uniform, a servant, a nobody. Keisha turned, returning to the kitchen. Her hand steadied though her heart raced. The chef gave her a knowing glance. They'd seen this before. Still, she whispered to herself, "Let him laugh. The world loves to laugh until truth starts speaking." As she prepared a fresh bottle, her reflection in the chrome counter stared back like a quiet promise. Tonight, arrogance would meet its answer, and the equation of karma was about to begin. The dining room glowed with golden light, but for Keisha, every sparkle felt like a spotlight aimed at her dignity. Marcus Owen leaned forward, smirking as she placed a perfectly chilled bottle before him. He wasn't finished. Men like him rarely were. "So, Keisha, right?" His tone made her name sound like a joke. "Yes, sir," she said quietly. He chuckled. "Tell me something, Keisha. What's a smart woman like you doing carrying plates instead of, I don't know, solving world hunger?" His friends laughed again, some nervously, others with cruel enjoyment. The laughter followers, not friends. "I'm working where I need to, sir," she replied softly, eyes lowered, voice controlled. Marcus tapped his glass with a silver fork. "You need to? Oh, come on. You think you could ever understand what we talk about here? You know what separates me from people like you? Intelligence." He paused, letting the word intelligence echo like an insult. "Let's test that, shall we?" Keisha froze. She'd seen that glint before, the one that appeared in the eyes of men who loved turning power into theater. Marcus pulled out his phone. "This, my dear, is the Hartfield equation. It stumped the best economists for 10 years. If you can solve it, I'll give you," he stopped for dramatic effect, "everything you want. Money, job, anything. Deal." The entire restaurant went still. Even the background music seemed to pause. Glasses clinked in slow motion as servers turned to watch. "Marcus, don't," one of the companions muttered, but he ignored him, grinning wider. "Unless, of course, you're afraid." Keisha's heart pounded, but not from fear, from fury disguised as calm. Every eye burned into her, as if waiting for her humiliation. She placed her notepad gently on the table. "Everything I want?" she asked. Marcus smirked. "Everything. And when I'm done," she said, locking eyes with him, "you'll remember this night every time you open your mouth to insult a woman who looks like me." The room gasped. Marcus blinked, momentarily thrown. "Oh, this is going to be fun," he sneered, handing her his expensive pen. Keisha sat down, smoothing her apron. her mind already racing through symbols, formulas, and theories she hadn't touched since graduate school. The billionaire thought he'd stage a humiliation. He didn't know he'd just written his own downfall. The restaurant had gone silent, a thick, electric kind of silence where every breath felt louder than words. Forks froze midair. Waiters stood still, dozens of eyes locked on one table. The billionaire and the black waitress he decided to humiliate. Keisha sat calmly, Marcus's luxury pen gliding across her order pad. Her handwriting was steady, looping across the paper in streams of symbols, fractions, and variables that most people in the room couldn't recognize, but could feel were important. Marcus leaned back, chuckling at first. "You actually think you can solve that?" he said, voice dripping with condescension. "Sweetheart, this problem has beaten Ivy League professors." She didn't look up. Then maybe they didn't think the right way. One of his associates leaned forward, whispering, "Marcus, she's not guessing." The laughter died. Keisha's mind raced in total focus. Every formula she'd studied, every late night spent hunched over textbooks, every rejection letter, all of it lived in her fingertips now. She wrote on one page, flipped it, then another, faster each time. 15 minutes passed. The kitchen door swung open quietly. Even the chef had stepped out, wiping his hands to watch. Finally, she placed the pen down. Done. Her voice was calm, almost soft, but the word hit the room like thunder. Marcus forced a laugh. "You're joking." Keisha pushed a notepad toward him. "Read it." He glanced at the first line, then the second. His smirk faltered. Numbers, logic, and sequences unfolded before him in a pattern that made sense. Horrifying, undeniable sense. Gregory, his company's CFO, snatched the pad from Marcus's hand. His eyes scanned quickly, then froze. "Oh my God, she's right." "What?" Marcus snapped. "This isn't random math. This is a heart-filled solution. The missing constants here. She solved it." The crowd whispered in disbelief. A woman at a nearby table clapped once before covering her mouth. Keisha stood, wiping her palms on her apron. "You said you'd give me everything I want," she said. "I don't want your money. I just want you to remember this feeling, being underestimated." Marcus's pale face stared back at the pages, his arrogance collapsing faster than his voice could form an excuse. Every number she wrote erased a lifetime of bias, and every heartbeat dragged the billionaire closer to his own reckoning. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. Marcus sat frozen, the color draining from his face as he stared at the notepad. The room that once echoed with laughter now held its breath. His fingers trembled slightly as he flipped through the pages filled with symbols he couldn't even read. What is this?" he muttered. Gregory, his company's CFO, leaned closer, eyes wide with disbelief. "This is a complete proof, Marcus. She didn't just solve it. She redefined the parameters. The constant she introduced stabilizes the loop. I've seen attempts before, but nothing like this." The crowd murmured. Cell phones were discreetly lifted to record. Somewhere between humiliation and awe, the billionaire's ego began to fracture. Keisha stood tall, wiping her palms on her apron. Her voice was calm, but her words carried like a verdict. "You wanted me to prove I was worth respect. You thought I was just another server lucky to stand near your table. But I'm Dr. Keisha Danielle Roberts, PhD in mathematical economics." Gasps rippled through the restaurant. Even the chef at the back whispered, "Doctor?" Marcus blinked rapidly, trying to comprehend what he was hearing. "You're lying," he said weakly. She reached into her pocket, pulling out a worn business card. "Columbia University. You can call and check. I worked here because research doesn't pay bills and my sister needed me." His lips parted, but no words came out. The same man who used to command boardrooms could barely hold his gaze steady. "You said I don't belong in spaces like this," Keisha continued. "But maybe this space never deserved people like me." The entire restaurant fell quiet again, not out of pity, but out of admiration. The same diners who once smirked at her now looked ashamed of their silence. Marcus's voice cracked. I didn't know." You didn't want to know, Keisha said, eyes steady. That's the problem. She turned to leave, but stopped. You wanted to test my intelligence, Mr. Owen, but all you've tested is your humanity, and it failed. Marcus lowered his head, unable to face the truth in her tone. Around him, the applause began softly, first from one corner, then another, growing into thunder. He came to dinner for applause. He left learning humility from a woman he'd once called just a waitress. The next morning, every major business blog and gossip site had the same headline: Racist billionaire humiliated by black waitress who solved the impossible equation. Marcus Owen's publicist called him 15 times before sunrise. Reporters waited outside his penthouse. His company stock was trembling, and not from market shifts, but from shame. Meanwhile, at a tiny apartment in Brooklyn, Keisha sat quietly at her kitchen table, sipping coffee. Her phone buzzed nonstop, missed calls, emails, messages from universities, investors, and journalists. Overnight, the world had discovered the woman behind the math. When the restaurant's manager called, his voice shook. Dr. Roberts? Keisha, I just want to say the entire staff's proud of you. We saw what happened. You didn't just defend yourself, you defended all of us. She smiled faintly. Thank you, but I didn't do it to go viral. I just want to be treated like a person. Later that afternoon, a black SUV pulled up outside her building. Marcus Owen stepped out. No entourage, no arrogance. Just a man who'd been stripped bare by the truth. He held a white envelope and a single folded paper. When Keisha opened her door, she didn't smile. She didn't need to. I know I'm the last person you want to see, Marcus began, but I came to honor my promise. He handed her the envelope. Inside was a certified transfer of $85,000, exactly what she'd asked for that night. I don't want charity, Keisha said flatly. It's not charity, he replied quietly. You earned every cent, and you asked for funding for your research, not a favor. So it's yours. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Thank you. He looked around her modest apartment. Textbooks stacked beside takeout boxes, her laptop full of open data charts. It hit him how far brilliance had to stretch just to survive. I've lived my whole life thinking money made me powerful, Marcus said softly. But last night, you made me realize power means nothing when you use it to make others small. Keisha's reply was simple, then stop doing it. He nodded once, no defense, no excuses. For the first time in his life, Marcus Owen paid a debt that money couldn't cover, the cost of his own ego. A week later, Marcus sat alone in his high-rise office, overlooking the city skyline. The man reflected in the glass wasn't the confident mogul the world once knew. He was quieter now, his arrogance traded for awareness. The viral video still trended online, clipped and shared by millions. Every time he watched it, the sound of his own voice made him flinch. Keisha's calm defiance, her intelligence, her poise, it haunted him in the best way possible. He finally picked up his phone and dialed her number. Dr. Roberts. He began cautiously. I know I said I wouldn't disturb you again, but I was wondering if we could meet. I'd like to understand what I failed to see. After a long pause, Keisha replied, Meet me at Café Del Sol tomorrow, 2 p.m. Come alone. The next afternoon, Marcus arrived on time. No luxury suit, no assistance. Just a man with regret in his eyes. Keisha sat by the window, wearing simple clothes, a laptop open beside her. She didn't stand to greet him. She didn't have to. I didn't come here for pity, she said. Say what you need to say. Marcus took a breath. That night, I realized something. I've spent my life surrounded by yes men. Believing my wealth made me right. But you broke that illusion. You showed me how easy it is to mistake privilege for intelligence. Keisha watched him closely, trying to read sincerity in his eyes. And what will you do with that realization, Mr. Owen? Feel guilty and move on? He shook his head. No, I want to do something meaningful. I want to fund opportunities for people like you, people the system overlooks. She leaned back. You mean for black students in STEM fields? Yes, he nodded. Not as charity. As investment. Brilliance shouldn't depend on luck. For the first time, she smiled slightly, a real smile. "If you're serious," she said, "we'll start small, scholarships, mentorships, full transparency. And you'll do it quietly, not for headlines." "Agreed," he said without hesitation. That afternoon, the Robert Owen Foundation for Black Scholars was born, a partnership neither of them had expected, born not from friendship but from understanding. For once, Marcus Owen's fortune wasn't building walls. It was building futures. Months later, sunlight streamed to the Grand Hall of Princeton University, where banners hung high for the International Economic Theory Conference. Cameras flashed, notebooks opened, and some of the brightest minds in academia filled the seats. At the center of it all stood Dr. Keisha Danielle Roberts, her natural curls tied back neatly, her confident smile illuminated by the stage lights. Her voice carried to the auditorium, calm, articulate, powerful. "What began as humiliation," she said, "became the proof that intelligence and dignity aren't determined by wealth, gender, or color. They're earned through perseverance." She turned to her presentation, displaying the newly published equation that bore her name beside the man who once mocked her, the Roberts Hartfield model. The audience erupted in applause. In the front row, Marcus Owen watched silently. He didn't need to speak, didn't need credit. He had kept his word. Dozens of black students now studied under grants from the Roberts Owen Foundation, young minds who no longer had to choose between paying rent and chasing brilliance. After the conference, reporters crowded Keisha outside the hall. "Dr. Roberts," one asked, "what message would you give to those who underestimate people based on appearance or background?" She paused, eyes soft but unyielding. "Underestimating others doesn't reveal their weakness," she said. "It only exposes yours." That line spread across social media in minutes, a quote of justice, resilience, and grace. Later that evening, Keisha found Marcus waiting by the campus fountain. "You didn't have to come," she said. "I did," he replied. "Seeing this, it reminds me that sometimes the best thing a man can do is listen." Keisha smiled faintly. "You've come a long way from that restaurant." "I had a good teacher," Marcus admitted. For the first time, there was no power gap between them, only mutual respect. He extended his hand. She shook it firmly. "If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it." As Keisha walked away beneath the golden sunset, her phone buzzed, a message from a student funded by her foundation. "Thank you for making people like me believe again." She smiled. Some people spend lifetimes buying respect. She earned hers with brilliance, courage, and truth.